Ay, Dios mío. Ay, caramba. I forgot to title the last video. That one I honestly struggle. So we'll see. Anyway, hi, hello, what's up? We're just gonna pull some cards and see what is up. I feel like I've been browsing, searching, scanning, question mark, for something. I don't know. I feel like my algorithm has given me a lot of like love readings lately. And I'm like, I mean, not that they aren't always a thing, but I'm like what else? You know what I mean? Craving something different. And then sometimes I get over here and I'm like, WTF is this? Where the frig? Anyway, I don't know what we're doing today. What are we doing today? Let's get a general vibe. What's the vibe today? You can't see the mirror. You see? I know. As much as I would love to. Ooh. It's still up there. It's here. Oh, you can see the edge of it. Right there. King of Swords and a Page of Wands at the cut. King of Swords and Page of Wands is such an interesting combination. The King of Swords has the plan. The Page of Wands is setting it in motion. It's like it's more thought out than the King of Swords and the Emperor. Okay. It's more thought out than it is acted upon. With the Emperor backing the King of Swords, that may be appropriate. Like something you want to have well thought out before you start to take action. Or you want to have a good it's like if there's any room for improvisation, you want to have a good framework or foundation. A really solid framework and foundation. And then you just sort of like play or show up. I'm on my iPhone today, so I opened up the Time Nomad app. Mercury is in my 12th house. So maybe that's why my attention has been so bad lately. Okay, it's the energy of a well thought out plan, but one that's not rigid, right? So it's like if you have a few contingencies or a general rough idea of how something could go, then Nine of Cups and the Five of Swords, then you could show up and not be so I don't have words. Not be so rigid, so confined, so whatever. Right? It's like, there are a few different ways that this can go. We have a few contingency plans in place, but we're just going to show up. We're just going to show up. We're going to see what can happen. All of the planning that can be done has been done. But again, it feels like that openness, the openness of the Page of Wands and the fire of the Page of Wands is important. Now the Nine of Cups is with the Knight of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race. It's the things that are worth having that's worth sort of investing in. Where slow progress is better than no progress. Where if you have to take it slow, you can, because ultimately it works to the better of the thing. I just looked at a cloud and it gave the energy of a whale tail. King of Swords again at the bottom of the deck. Okay. This time at the cut with the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords last came out as purifying. cleansing some kind of pain, salving some kind of hurt. The wound could still be raw, but it's healing. Tender, more tender than raw. Something that's healing but tender. The King of Swords, maybe that's why the Page of Wands is important. Because in all of the planning of all the planning of the King of Swords, with all of those contingencies and play it in place, it's almost like it's that saying, plan for the worst but hope for the best. Right? Like a lot of worst case scenarios may have been sitting more closely to someone's mind. And so a lot of the um contingencies, a lot of the thought has been like, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? But again, like it's okay to have those contingencies in place, but it's like be careful they don't become self-fulfilling prophecies type energy, right? That's why the bright fire, the freshness of the Page of Wands, sort of that's the hope for the best in that. Because if something is unpredictable, it could go either way. Excuse me. So it is not, you could say it's not wise to not have those contingencies, but it's also not wise to only expect the worst. I don't know. Excuse me. Let's see. Let's see. Nine of Cups and the Nine of Wands. We actually saw that combination. Nine of Wands being that um, on the other side of something heavy and or traumatic. More so lately, reading that way. And again, not letting or allowing that Wheel of Fortune, not allowing that to affect what comes next. So last time there was the whole thing of sort of foreign influences, foreign constructs that to the slip in the cracks, and that can affect our manifestations, materializations, the way that we think about things and go about things. This energy, especially with that Three of Swords, it's kind of one of the self, but it's like it could be outdated, or it could be um uh what was it? I literally just used the word construct. It could be a construct that's like a trauma construct, right? Disappointments in the past or bad things that we've heard about something that color the thing that we are creating. And with that Nine of Wands, again, it's on the other side of the thing. So if the Nine of Wands isn't careful, excuse me, it'll carry that with it even as its dreams are coming true. Then we have justice with the Wheel of Fortune. I love to see justice with the Wheel of Fortune. But justice with the Wheel of Fortune, it's like the wheel will turn. Fortunes are turning in the way that they should. It's very like karmic payout type energy. And so if justice sees us at the top of the wheel, we'll be at the top. And if however justice is supposed to play out, it will play out. Right. I feel like we could probably make this short today. Um, because I don't know. All right. The Magician. Actually, and it fell and then it slid over to the side. I kind of wanted to look around the Magician. I wanted to look around any card that had the suit in hand. So in the Wand suit, it's any card except the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands. In the swords, it's what the Two of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and the court cards. Because in the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Six of Swords, the Eight of Swords, and the Nine of Swords, they're not actually holding the sword. Swords are like around. And the Cups cards, it's the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups. No one's holding it in the four or the five, or the six, or the seven, or the eight, or the nine, or the 10. They're not physically holding those. And then in the Pentacles, you get the Two of Pentacles, not the three, the four, not the five or the six. Technically, not the seventh. Yes, in the eighth. Maybe in the nine. And I don't think so in the 10. And then, of course, the court cards. And since the Magician came out, and why? Because, again, the Fool has all of their tools in the sack, right? The Fool that we saw here with it wasn't off of the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. I'm pretty sure it was off of the Two of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Sorry, the Two of Cups and the Two of Wands. I think, no. Yeah, because the Knight of Cups was behind the, was that the Two of Cups? And the Fool was behind the Two of Wands? Yeah, because I think the Nine of Wands, Nine of Cups was this axis. The title card and the Two of Pentacles was this one. I think this one was the Two of Cups, Two of Wands. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And also, like, the sword isn't the only tool. The sword, the mind, can be a great predictor, but only in the realm of things that have already been sort of experienced, right? Of course, we can conduct thought experiments and do what ifs, but the mind is better at reproducing what it's already encountered than it is accounting for something new. Or maybe it depends on the mind. I don't know. But that's what we'll do. That is what we'll do. I have about an hour. So I was gonna get busy today. Not gonna just want to nap. It's fine. Oops. All right. I'm gonna pull before and after the first cup, sword, pentacle, and wand in the hand. And I want to say the card, obviously, this is general. The card before will be like the nature of the thing, and the card after will be the thing in hand. Now, because so many wands are in hand, it's easy in that suit to kind of sort of read the card, to read the significator as part of the energy. But like in the swords, where it's either like the Two of Swords or the Seven of Swords, because every other sword is just like floating in the air. Maybe it is what it is. But I also feel like it's kind of sort of not entirely fair. Even with the Pentacles, right? You get the Two of Pentacles and the Eight. But I guess the cards themselves do carry a certain energy, right? So maybe it still works. Okay. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out. I'm gonna flip them over from the top. We have the World, Death, and the Star. Three major arcana at the top of the deck. The World, Death, and the Star. It's also interesting. So when I was talking about how the Magician holds it up and points below, as above, so below, but they're like both at the waist in the World card. Starting with three majors is at the World, you begin again. The world is an ending and a beginning. The Fool doesn't, it's like in the SKT, after the Fool after the world is the keeper. Death and rebirth, and then we have the star. Interesting. It feels like it is, because even this thing here, it feels like a sort of completion. Someone has reached, it's like multiple chapters or four major lessons that have been completed here. So then this is like a portal, and someone is sort of reborn as a star. So very obviously, I feel like, and it's only low hanging fruit because of the narrative here that Elijah Enochian, Bodhisattvic energy. But it's more like when someone has a breakthrough in their life. And again, it feels like that could be also like the Emperor has been a card that's been coming out a lot. But also an energy of interest recently with that the fours, all the fours. It was the moon, the four of wands, the four of swords, and the four of cups. We didn't see the four of pentacles, right? The four of pentacles was the last four to make the emperor, that whole thing. Um, it's like all of the fours have been in that vein. Like all of the fours are present. The four of earth, the four of fire, the four of air, and the four of water that has completed that minor emperor energy's ascension into the emperor, reborn as this major arcana energy. But it could be something as simple as, again, like someone has a breakthrough that liberates them to the point where it's like they're completely different and they are who they were always meant to be. Maybe if it was like a confidence thing that kept someone from pursuing something or showing up in a certain way, then having that page of wands openness, even if, they sort of kind of expect the worst, it's like that, it'll prove something to somebody. And then they just like show up different. Eight of Pentacles right off the bat. So I will technically count that as in hand. And I feel like it's like, well, technically, if you count that, then his hand is touching the pinnacle. You see that? It's brushed up against the pinnacle there. He's like holding the thing like that. His hand is touching it. So that means we're pulling the star down. The star, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So yeah, definitely in that major arcana realm. Because we got the world, death, and the star, I'm not surprised. Because it is giving the fool that's completed their journey. So to see it in the realm of the major arcana, that's the level that the fool that's completed the journey plays at. Right. Then we got the hermit, the lovers, strength, the sun, and the king of swords. The king of swords is holding the sword. The sun, the king of swords, and the five of pentacles. All of these majors, like right off the bat. Okay. So now we're looking for a cup and a wand, the Hierophant, the Eight of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and the Five of Wands. So we get the Eight of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and the Five of Wands. And so now we're just looking for the cup. Ten of Pentacles, Seven of Cups, Four of Swords, the Devil, Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine is touching a pentacle. So the Nine of Pentacles would have come. So we got the Ten of Swords, Four of Wands, Seven of Wands, the Two of Cups, and the Hangman. So we have the Seven of Wands and the Hangman around the Two of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Swords. The realm of things unseen. The reason why I'm not surprised to see the Eight of Swords here is the same reason I'm not surprised to see the Eight of Pentacles flanked by two major arcana cards, because of the world, death, and the star. Right. So Eight of Swords, it's like, and it's interesting, I guess, because even if operating at a major arcana type of level, and a major arcana type of level, the person that shows up as the way they are, they're not bound by circumstances, right? Major arcana exists outside of the day to day. And it's not necessarily completely separate, but it's not dictated, determined, or ruled by that either. Basically, the energy, the person, a person themselves may not even necessarily see what it is they're doing. Now, we did with the energy, what was that? The Seven of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune that flanked whatever card. I forget what the significator was. But when it was that, like, that almost test of faith type energy, right? This is trusting that the mountain will be moved and not and not waiting to see it happen. Six of Swords is behind that Eight of Swords. Right. So I feel like, oh, I should know that scripture. I don't remember. But again, the test of faith, test of trust being the whole, like, if you have faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed, then mountains will be moved. And there was the whole, like, there was a difference between faith and I think it was trust, right? Faith was knowing that the mountain can be moved. Trust is knowing that it will be. It doesn't, like, again, this Eight of Swords energy, it's not staring at the mountain, waiting for the mountain to move, waiting for its faith and trust to be realized. It keeps moving. This is not a stationary, at least it's not feeling like it. This is not a stationary Eight of Swords. Like, she's not just standing, and again, it's backed by the Six of Swords under it. She's not just standing there, she is walking, bound and blindfolded, trusting, knowing that she will not be cut. And if a blade does touch her, it will be to free her. Either it will cut her blindfold or her bindings, but she will not be harmed. So the tools of this magician, we have the pentacle. Around the pentacle, backed by the star, is the Wheel of Fortune. The sword, backed by the sun, is the Five of Pentacles. The wand, backed by the Eight of Cups, is the Five of Wands. And the cup, backed by the Seven of Wands, is the Hanged Man. So the Eight of Pentacles is a card of working on something. It's reaching a level of mastery, which I guess we did literally just have the Diceology card, Adept of Materialization. Here we have the Star, which is a card of like wish fulfillment, wish granted, and the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune almost given this like all things and its time energy. Also, though, this Wheel of Fortune is a callback to the world, but instead of it just being these four things, milestones, markers that someone has conquered, like you see the full bodies of these things, but also they have like these books, right? And I don't know, there's some kind of learning here, obviously. I want to say it's like almost a curation, and not just because the star is also a card of healing. Um, but it's like as healing is being done and occurring, and as wishes are being fulfilled, because it's like there's the healing that satisfied the condition for the world card to appear, for the card of rebirth to appear, and then for the star to be there, right? But yeah, it's the Eight of Pentacles. It's the adept and on its way to becoming a master. So there's something I almost want to say, like it feels like there's a difference, however subtle or semantic, between whatever those four things were, teaching something and learning from whatever those four things are. Like there's a difference between analyzing and learning versus like something being um, imparted, right? Behind the King of Swords, which we've already seen, is the Sun and this Five of Pentacles. Again, just like we saw the Page of Wands with that King of Swords, and then the Emperor with the King of Swords, and that whole story of it was kind of reading as like prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. With the Sun at this King of Swords back, like if there's any card that needs the Sun in the tarot deck, it's the Five of Pentacles, right? This is the place where they should be able to find respite and shelter, but they don't. We've also seen, I don't think the Five of Pentacles came out, but the energy of the Five of Pentacles, actually, it may have. Was it the Five of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles that came out? Or we saw the Five of Pentacles and then it was another card with the Ace of Pentacles. And it was like rather than like enduring some kind of humiliation to get aid from that place where they should, they keep going and they hit that Ace of Pentacles. So with the King of Swords, it's this energy of like, again, kind of sort of with that breakthrough of where it's most needed, a knowing, of where it's most needed. The Knight of Wands is here. We saw the Knight of Wands and the Two of Cups in that asterisk Earth Day. I feel like we saw the Five of Wands too. It was the Five of Wands and the Ace of Wands that made a Six of Wands type energy. The Eight of Cups and the Five of Wands. What's backing the Knight of Wands is the Eight of Cups. The Knight of Wands in the Pride Tarot is an advocate and a voice for the people who need one. So it's very passionate, compassionate action. Almost want to say compassionate fervor, um, which is kind of wild. But I don't know if I'm going to read it the other way because technically at the Knight of Wands' back is the Five of Wands and it's headed towards the Eight of Cups, even though I'm reading it like before the card and then after. It feels like whatever this Knight of Wands would want to introduce, it's like it's an arena that's already saturated, or it's a space or an environment where there are already like so many voices, like there's so much competition that it would be difficult to be heard and to make an impact. And so rather than, because again, we see the Five of Pentacles as that energy where like the sun is most needed. And the King of Swords knows that. Rather than like picking off the weak, because if it were predatory, you would isolate and pick off the weak, or you would prey upon that which is weakened or isolated. But this is like, again, it's an energy of compassionate action. See how he's like the Five of Wands at his back, and then the Eight of Cups is like on its own. Where are we here? This is something very like, I'm almost remembering the dream I had last night for some reason, which is in its own whole weird series of dreams. Like there's this weird series of dreams where I'm like involved with the production of a show. I don't have them very frequently or often, but it's always the same family of shows, like shows within a franchise. And I'm always like behind the camera or interacting with the talent in some way. Last night, though, I had a dream that it's like time had passed. So at some point in the dream, I was kind of like a kid, and there was a person who worked on something. But then I was older, and the person was doing like a signing or something, some kind of appearance. They had done their own thing, right? They had made it big. I feel like it was their like first major project. And I showed up at the end of the signing just to like have my moment with the person and not like hold up a line to be like, "Do you remember me?" And they did. And then I woke up. I don't remember much of that dream or like the why behind it. Or really see. Okay. With the Two of Cups, it's the Seven of Wands, backed by the Seven of Wands, and it is the Hangman. The Hangman is such an interesting energy, especially here, because it's almost giving that like Odin hanged from the world tree for like 9 days and then got the knowledge of like runes and magic or whatever. I get it confused between that and him sacrificing his eye at Mimir's well. I get them mixed up. But the prevailing Ryokurukian theory is 9 days is not enough time. It's not enough time to get a complete or a more complete knowing. It's enough time to learn enough to think you have enough to do what you need to do. But it's not enough time to actually have enough knowledge to do what you need in those situations and moments. So again, kind of sort of going back to the energy of contingencies with that King of Swords backed by that Emperor energy where we had the Page of Wands. If the King of Swords is too stringent is the word that's coming to my mind. If the King of Swords holds too tightly to all of those plans that it comes up with, then it loses the ability to respond to things as they are happening. And it forces things to go in predetermined ways. But in that, it's like it has to strip a lot of nuance and it has to strip a lot of context and it has to strip a lot of foresight in order to fit like which contingency best fits a situation. Right. But it's like if the hanged man had hanged longer, then he would have enough information to like be able to adapt on the fly type energy and not have to force things to be a certain way, not have to force things to be to align with the way that it's most easy to comprehend or understand, or again, that aligns the cleanest with whatever outcome it sort of seeks or desires or had planned for. So the Seven of Wands here is like it's holding out. This Five of Wands, and it literally came out under the Eight of Pentacles. The Knight of Wands came out under the Eight of Pentacles because I have the Magician that came out first. I have the World and Death. And then I have these three around the Eight of Pentacles. Under the Magician, with a little gap in the World and Death, is the Sun, the King of Swords, and the Five of Pentacles. Directly under the Star, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune is the Eight of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and the Five of Wands. And then under the Five of Pentacles is the Seven of Wands. Under the Eight of Cups is the Hanged Man. And then the Two of Cups sort of occupies the gap between them. Anyway, I'm not surprised to see this here. So it feels like the whole not preying on the weak. I don't know how else to say it. So behind that, inspiring the isolated energy. Above that is that Wheel of Fortune where there's like this learning that is being done and this knowledge that is being imparted. But it's done in isolation. Again, away from because it doesn't compete. And it almost has the energy of something that is mundane and not exciting or not flashy It's a very like Miyagi type energy where it's like it's wax on, wax off, stuff like that. I've only seen the Jaden Smith relatively newer Karate Kid. I haven't seen any of the original ones, but I know wax on, wax off. You ain't gotta have watched Karate Kid to know Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off. It's something about the basics of something. Again, it's not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't necessarily grab attention, it doesn't make grand promises. It doesn't compete because it can't compete. It's like with how a human, especially nowadays with our attention spans being what they are and our need for a dopamine hit and our get rich quick desire, and like in the ways that we've always sort of wanted something drastic fast, it can't compete because it doesn't make those promises. And since it doesn't make those promises, it's like there's almost no incentive to learn or to master whatever this is. But it's like if you could see the value of things, it would make sense. Like for the people that are in the know, it's like Miyagi is the one, Mr. Miyagi is the one that you should seek out. And the training is like dull and it's repetitive and it seems like nothing is happening. But when your match comes, you best believe that it will all make sense. And again, like that star and Wheel of Fortune was around the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles is about that hard work. It's about dedication. And in that, again, it's like all of the knowledge that's imparted, all of the lessons that are learned that finds someone in some way. And again, it's because of that. It's like not only is someone separate enough from external influences that they can hear for themselves something so that they can experience for themselves a thing, but they also have the determination, the fortitude, the endurance, the stamina, the will. They also have the will to hang on that world tree for as long as they need. If it's longer than 9 days, they can hang for longer than 9 days. It feels like that's the hill that the Seven of Wands stands on. It will be there for as long as it needs to. It's there long enough that its wand has become a tree. And if we look at the Page of Wands, you will see the Page of Wands that, we saw in the beginning. Oh, I gotta go to the restroom. Too many fluids. You would think that I would learn my lesson, but I need to hydrate. I can't help it. Even in the Knight of Wands. And this energy was here with, I don't think it was the last live. It may have been the one before. There's the Page of Wands. You see how it's carrying that wand and it's like in the ground? And now we have this elevation of the Seven of Wands and then the Hanged Man hanging from that tree. The wand has grown thick. I'm gonna have to use the restroom. I'm sorry. I can't hold it. All right. So basically, the loops and the spirals. This is a spiral breaker. It's like I was thinking about it, you know, as the waters were flowing through me. um, a lot of times we kind of sort of loop and we spiral and things that we've learned before, and we encounter it again and again and again, right? Just like, not just like, but similar to how Odin had this whole Ragnarok thing that was going to happen, and that's why he was hanging from the world tree. It's like when we enter these cycles of learning, it's almost like we do enough learning or we're present enough with our circumstances and situations to feel like we can overcome the hurdle that's in front of us. And again, it's almost like we're still in present, we can be still in present long enough to think that, we've finished something for good. But not necessarily, but that may not necessarily be the case. Especially if we like circle back to it or spiral back to it. And like spirals, obviously, they're not necessarily bad. There's not necessarily an incompleteness to it, but I am not of the belief that we will constantly, forever, and always experience the same things over and over and over again. I don't think that spirals and loops have to be eternal, right? In a way that I feel like, at least back in the day, the rhetoric kind of sort of suggested like you're always going to spiral, you're always going to hit this thing. And if that is what we're told and taught, and if that is what we come to believe, then that's the negative self-fulfilling prophecy that we sort of set ourselves up to experience over and over and over again. And those experience in the spiral can be and are also a part of the learning. But it's like once you've learned something completely enough or sufficiently enough, it's not going to be the same as it used to be, at least for sure. This is also a card of enlightenment. The Two of Cups indicates an exchange, like they're trading hearts. It could actually be wait, one, two, three. I'm looking at um, the snakes wrapped around that. It's like that's the number of times these cups sort of exchange hands, right? Like they're exchanging back and forth. So there's one, two, three, and then it's going in for the fourth. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. There's three and it's going in for the fourth before it's sort of like broken and or open, or before you just sort of like escape. Now it has wings. It doesn't do that anymore. Cool. Anyway, the only one that I mean, the King of Swords with the sun at its back and the Five of Pentacles. The King of Swords does have mental clarity, right? It's 306. Is that like a lawnmower or something? One second. Or is it the mail? It may be the mail. The mail. Boop, 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 boop. It is the mail. That looked like a whole lot of something. Like a whole mess of, I don't know, a whole bunch of letters? Like a bunch of letters bound. Anyway, message delivered, message received. Cool. I think another thing, yeah, it's fine. Maybe there are, yeah, because it's part of this exchange between like the Seven of Wands and then Hanged Man. Every time there's more and more information that is gathered. The world is here, meaning that something has come to a completion. It's almost like consolidation, like the knowledge and information is being consolidated. Maybe there's some trial and error. It's not necessarily trial and error. It reads more like experiments that are done, hypothesis, theory testing, crafting, and testing. So, yeah, trial and error between the star and the wheel of fortune. Honestly, the sun and the five of pentacles, it feels okay. Again, in the mythology of it all, you could say Ragnarok was Odin's five of pentacles. It's a motivating factor. I think the sun and the five of pentacles is the king of swords reconciling the reality of a situation with the ideal or what something could be, right? It's like, for example, if you feel abundant, you feel the energy of like abundance, but your belly is rumbling and you ain't necessarily got coins in the bank type energy, right? It's like when you can feel the resolution or when you can feel the energy of a thing before it manifests. But this is like when they're kind of discordant. And again, the seven of wands with the hangman fuels like are it's connected to both of these. So this is the king of swords like holding his vision even as it doesn't match reality. And what's interesting is in the death card, you sort of see the sun rising in the back with this pale horse. But in the sun card, excuse me, the sun is in the sky, and instead of a bag of bones, of course, it's a child. And instead of death, it's life. Okay. What's interesting about this is, though, it's the King of Swords. It's not the Page of Swords or even the Knight of Swords or any other swords card. It's the King. And the King has that clarity. So, although reality hasn't although reality isn't necessarily reflecting what the King of Swords knows, the King of Swords does not waver in that. It can stand an observation of that difference and it not be shaken by it, right? If you know that in 3 days it is going to rain, it doesn't matter how clear the skies are, right? Like, and it's not necessarily full Noah, but low hanging fruit, it's easy. Again, like day one, people's like, there's not a cloud in the sky. What do you mean it's going to rain? It's not going to rain. Day two, same thing. It's even brighter and warmer than the previous day. Day three, even brighter than day two. And that's the day it's supposed to rain. And people are like, see, blah, blah, like it's not going to rain. It's not going to rain, blah, 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 blah. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like clouds roll in. It's one of those things where it happens fast. I experienced one of those before. It was the only time it's the closest I've ever been to getting on a mechanical bull. It was at this thing that happened in the park in a park when I was a kid. Maybe late middle school. I feel like it was like late middle, like eighth grade, seventh grade. We were at the park. I was waiting in line forever for my turn. As soon as I get to the top of the line, one of my friends, her birthday is actually today. Shout out to Summer. Happy birthday, Summer. She's a Mayday baby. Her birthday is today. Again. She was like, we've all like, she's like, it's coming in fast. And I look over and I like my brain didn't even process what I was seeing. But she had already started to move. I'm still in line. I'm literally standing next to my brother. We're literally standing next to each other. And then all of a sudden, like some of the hardest rain I've ever been in literally came out of nowhere. You could see it literally like, and it downpoured like crazy for like 5 to 10 minutes. Somehow I get separated from my brother, but I find the rest of my family, and they're like, "Where's your brother?" And I was like, "I don't know. He was literally just right next to me. So let me go back into the storm and try to find him." But it was like it can happen like that. The King of Swords doesn't waver in his knowing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what things look like. The King of Swords does not waver. That's the level of clarity he has. Cool. So practically, because again, with the Eight of Pentacles being a card of practicality, practice, apprenticeship, more adeptness, becoming a master, someone's already working in the realm, not only in the realm of the majors, but the work that is being done influences the Wheel of Fortune. Like that last pentacle is maybe one of the many in this concentric. It's like if the Wheel of Fortune is concentric pentacles, like there's one, and then one in the middle. Um, it's already working in a realm beyond the ordinary, right? And the Mr. Miyagi of that Knight of Wands, there's a knowing that the routine, the average seeming, the ordinary leads to the extraordinary. The King of Swords holds the truth of what they know, regardless of what things look like and the position that they find themselves in. And then the Two of Cups can do its dance of sort of like working and learning. And sometimes it'll be easier than other times, right? Sometimes holding one's ground can be a little bit of a fight. Sometimes it's more of a breeze. But also, something about this, it's like it doesn't necessarily always look like what we think it might look like either. Sort of being at peace. Maybe sometimes we think that being at peace is like zen, meditative, not affected by anything. But sometimes being at peace is like holding and maintaining that peace, right? Even when that hanged man energy on the other side of that Two of Cups acts, it's always from a position of advantage. And it being in a position of advantage doesn't mean that it's like punching down on whatever. It's just that it will not be moved, which only helps to fuel um, that sort of Wheel of Fortune, Eight of Pentacles energy moving forward. Cool. There's the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups and the Emperor. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like there's a learning curve. Again, that could be part of the Seven of Wands, Hanged Man, Seven of Wands, Hanged Man. The Chariot with the Three of Cups. So that's Aries and Cancer. Aries is the Emperor. Cancer is the Chariot. With that Three of Cups. Let's get a final card. I'm like an hour and 5 minutes. I'm going to claim flip or a clean fall. I'm going to keep shuffling until it happens. Nine of Swords and the Nine of Cups with the moon at the bottom of the deck. 9-9. This time we see the Nine of Swords instead of that Nine of Wands. We've seen the Nine of Cups with the Nine of Wands like twice. We've also seen the Nine of Swords, but the Nine of Swords was with Judgment. It was Death, Judgment, and then the Nine of Swords because it was like immediate rebirth. The moon, under the moon, is the Nine of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. Heavy burden, moving slowly, moon card. That maybe it's the final cards are ones of encouragement. And it feels like it's to help with the clarity that the King of Swords holds, but also the stick to itiveness of that like Seven of Wands with the Hangman. And it's very much like if everything is always working out for the best for you, then that means that even what seems unfortunate or tragic within reason, within reason, even personal setbacks. How about that? If even personal setbacks are working out for the best, it's almost like try to keep that in mind because it's almost like keeping that in mind helps in times like this, right? If you ask for something from the divine And your relationship, your knowing and practice is one of those things, or what's best for you coming to pass and coming to be. Then even what seems like a setback may be a stepping stone. And that's this like moon energy, where again, like the mysterious ways that we don't really see going from one thing to another with that Knight of Pentacles. It's slow and it can be tough. It's a lot to carry sometimes. The Knight or the Ten of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, and the Moon. But like know that it's working out for you. And it feels like in that, maybe it makes it easier to see how it is. It makes it easier because again, in that whole plan for the worst but hope for the best, it's like, I don't know, it's just like knowing that even maybe, I don't know, I feel like it's a sentiment that is like shared so frequently or often that it can be hard to, it's almost one of those things that like it's kind of sort of a cliche or things that people say, and then you sort of like live life, heal, and journey to the point where you see the truth behind it, and it just kind of sort of is what is said, right? Again, we don't know the bullets that we're dodging when things fall through or when rejection takes place. We don't know what change is next in life, that a different set of circumstances than the ones we had originally envisioned sort of make better. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know. And it can be like that difference with that King of Swords, that Five of Pentacles difference when we know that sun is there. Like maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you know that in 3 days the sun is going to come out, but it's like dark day after dark day, storm after storm, like rain and wind and everything after rain and wind and everything. And it never looks like things are going to lighten up. But you know that on the third day, the sun is going to come out, and that on the fourth day, things are going to really take off. Um, it's like that Nine of Swords, Nine of Cups is that like try to see it to your benefit, because it can be, even if you don't know how, right? And it feels like that's kind of sort of maybe the Nine of Wands becomes the Page of Wands, right? Where we saw the Page of Wands with the King of Swords, and it was that like optimism, that drive, that brightness, that fire that can do more than just hope for the best, but it can, with the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck, it can navigate as if the best is happening because it knows and it trusts that it is. It's that the thing that can't necessarily be planned for because it's so unexpected and because it's never been experienced, with that King of Swords that kind of sort of prepares for the worst, contingency upon contingency, and the forced fit of occurrences to thoughts, beliefs, and patterns of the past. Um, it's just different. I feel like I'm seeing the Ankh in the carpet. I was seeing the Ankh because the Emperor came out, and today I was more focused on the Ankh than the orb that it holds. I feel like it's kind of weird. I've been seeing a lot of like Ankh tattoos lately. Specifically, like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. I mean, it's too late now. I've already started talking about it. I've been seeing a lot of Ankh tattoos lately. And I'm like, okay. Not like lately as in lately as in this year. Since like Pisces season, we'll say. like lots of Ankh tattoos. Um, I don't know if it's a thing, girl, but then I look down in the carpet and I see it. Um, I guess the Ankh symbolizes, we'll say, rebirth and life. I'm sure there's more to it. It's a gift from the Empress. In the SKT, the hanged one hangs from an Ankh shape, I believe. And that makes sense. Cool. I feel like my brain just went, and I feel like you get it. So I hope you all have an amazing whatever. Whenever you see this, I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way, you find. And I don't know. Oh, I should have it on here. I don't think I have it on my phone, but I do think I have it in my um, iBooks, Apple Books. Where the books at? Where the books? Here it is. Books. PDFs. Book of Maps. There it is. I do have the Book of Maps. Oh, okay. I need to put it on my phone. Key 12. The Outlaw. Yeah, there's like this upside down Ankh that the Outlaw hangs from. Um, yeah. And that's why it's like, again, that living life and figuring life. I don't know. Anyway, take it as it resonates. If it resonates, if it don't resonate, don't take it. But it is, again, it's like a very almost mundane, almost Miyagi. But I feel like that also kind of speaks to what I was saying after that one live about how sometimes the mystical hides behind the mundane, right? And it was a whole Keurig thing. That was literally the same reading because I used the metaphor of the Keurig rather than the metaphor of the car, but then the metaphor of the car came out when I asked Google Gemini if there's a difference between faith and trust. Um, yeah. And in that, I don't, it's like to get a complete understanding of a thing or a more complete understanding of a thing, sometimes you have to be able to observe it in multiple states with and without external influences, right? And maybe again that pulls into that like Five of Wands, Eight of Cups type. Because in the Five of Wands, it's just like so chaotic and so noisy. You almost don't get an idea of the thing itself because it's always within or around something else, right? It's almost like an element that you only see with other elements. Naturally, you never find it by itself. So it's hard to know what the properties of that element itself are. You can make inferences based upon all of the different molecules and compounds you find it in. Obviously, if that's the only common element, then you would assume that some common attribute is attributed to that element. But the only way to really get to know that element is to see it in isolation, but also to see it in relation to other things. So, yeah, I don't know. Do with that what you will. It feels like just like such a great time And again, it's interesting that the world has already happened. That completion is already there. The star was there, but it's almost like the class of things or the types of things that we wouldn't see without that completion and without that healing. Things we would never get to know about something or about ourselves because of the situations, circumstances, and environments that they were always in before. And so maybe with the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Cups, it's that too. Not only is it, how it's actually working out for your benefit, but what you actually get to see or learn because of the situation being what it is. And if the situation were any different, maybe you wouldn't have the time to devote to be present with something. Maybe if the situation were different, like you wouldn't see it in that kind of environment, or there are certain interactions you wouldn't be able to observe. It's something like that. And it's so interesting how it's kind of sort of like both about the self and about others or the environment. I don't know. But anyway, catch you later.